Hey, what's up, Shepherd Youth? My name is Kristina, and today we're going to learn some calligraphy. More specifically, we'll be taking a look at faux calligraphy and brush lettering. Now, there's a lot that can go into it, but today we'll stick to the basics. So if you want to follow along, grab a piece of paper, any marker or pen really, and let's get started. Okay, so here we've got some paper and some markers. It's okay if you don't have any of these items. You may have a Crayola marker, which honestly these guys are underappreciated, so I'm going to show you how to use that for calligraphy. But for now we're going to talk about brush lettering, and these four are brush pens. These two have dual tips, and basically that just means they're two different types of tips. You have your brush tip on this end, and just a smaller, finer tip on the other end. This is by Tombow, and one of the first brush pens that I used when I first started, and honestly these are super great. This one is by Prismacolor. Same deal, you got brush tip and also a finer tip at the other end. And this one is also by Tombow, probably one of my favorites, or is my favorite. It's pretty small, but it's still pretty flexible when you're using it for brush pens, for brush letterings. And also this is Pigma, just a little longer and kind of more flexible. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just gonna, oh wait, right here. If you see it bending, that's basically what you want when it comes to brush lettering, because it helps a lot. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do a little bit of brush lettering, or with using my favorite, I cannot speak today, using my favorite Bible verse. But before I get started, I have a little worksheet that I printed out and I was practicing on it. You guys don't need to know this right now. I'm gonna mainly talk about the upstroke and the downstroke, but these are the basic strokes that you need to know when it comes to calligraphy. So real quick is upstroke, downstroke, you have your underturn, an oval, compound curve, overturn, and your ascending and descending loop. But for today, we're gonna focus on your upstroke and your downstroke. So when it comes to calligraphy, actually I'm gonna use the back side of this paper so I don't waste it. When it comes to calligraphy, you have a upstroke and your downstroke. So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. When you're writing, hold your marker or pen, whatever you're using, at an angle instead of upright. I know some people write this way, I think, but you want to hold it at an angle. So when you, let's write Shepherd Youth. I'm going to try to do this slow but fast at the same time. So when you're moving your marker or your hand, whatever it is, upward, you don't want to apply too much pressure on the upstroke, so that's what this is. I don't have maybe you can see this. That is not the end. So this is the upstroke. And then you want your downstroke to be thicker, so that's when you apply the pressure. So with Shepherd Youth, so you have an S. Not too much pressure going up, but as you go down, you apply the pressure. And I don't know that you need to do this, but I think it's just helpful to lift your pen after each stroke. You know, with like cursive, you kind of just keep going in loops. But with calligraphy, you want to lift up your pen after you do a stroke. So going upward is lighter, thinner stroke, and down is a thicker, more pressure. And again, lift your pen. So if you don't know cursive, it's totally fine, because I don't necessarily think that you need to know how to do it, because you can learn as you go. You're just putting letters together. But yeah. We're just gonna stick to Shepherd, because we're gonna write out my Bible verse. But yeah, so you can see how every upstroke is thinner, which is this one, this one, all of that. And then downstroke is thicker. I hope that makes sense. But I'm gonna grab this piece of paper. I already wrote out my Bible verse. It is Esther 4:14, and it says, "Perhaps this is the moment for which you have been created." We're gonna stick with this marker because it's my favorite. Or brush pen, whatever you call it. And again, if you don't have any of these items, I'm gonna show you guys how to do faux calligraphy. If you just have a regular marker or a pen, I'm actually gonna use this guy first, just so you could see. So notice how this is kind of, you have like that point is super thin, and then at the edges is a little thicker. So this is what I mean by holding your marker or your pen at an angle, because you want to get that edge on your paper. So let's do the word perhaps. As you're going down, you have your thick stroke, and then, is that too small? No, that'll work. For the E, you are going upward, and then down, you apply the pressure. Notice the difference in the thickness. I'm just gonna make this a little longer. Whoops. But yeah, so going upward is thinner, and then downward. So again, each stroke, lift the pen, marker, and then you just keep going. You just practice this. It doesn't have to be perfect, because your writing and your style will change as you get better, honestly. Because my style has definitely changed over the years. But see, you can learn, oh sorry, you can't even see that. You can learn calligraphy with just a regular Crayola marker. But I'm gonna put this aside for now and write out. I'm gonna do this super fast just so you can see it. And we're gonna start with the word perhaps. I haven't really done this in a little while, which is I have no excuse for not doing this, honestly. That's the problem. I want to keep getting better, but I don't put the time into practicing. So again, just keep practicing. That's the main thing. So this is brush lettering. We're gonna talk about faux calligraphy, because I understand if you don't have brush pens. Nope, I'm just gonna put this over here. And I did write this out. It says faux calligraphy. So essentially what it is, it's just cursive, honestly. But you're going over the strokes that you made. So remember, I'm just gonna keep telling you guys. I'll put it right over here. You have your upstroke and you have your downstroke. So when it comes to faux calligraphy, you could write out I'll just use this. So you have Esther 4:14. I'm gonna just take that part off. We're gonna focus on the word Esther. So notice that I just basically wrote out the word Esther in cursive. So faux calligraphy is, you gotta find the downstrokes in your letters, and what you're gonna do is make them thicker. So because when I wrote this out, I went down on this line and then also down on this line, so we're gonna make that thicker. Oops, that's not gonna be perfect, but oh well. And then this one is an upstroke, so we're gonna leave that alone. But over here is a downstroke, so we're also gonna make that thicker. So remember your upstrokes and your downstrokes because it's super important. If you're wanting to do faux calligraphy, if that's how you need to get started, it's totally fine. But let me see if I have a better way. I don't, never mind. So I'm just gonna hold this up. So this part I went up, and now this right here is a downstroke, so we're gonna make that thicker. Same with this, also this. So you just gotta know which ones are your upstrokes and your downstrokes. I'm sorry, this is kind of a little messy, but we're gonna redo that. Okay, so here I have the full verse, and we're just gonna go through them real quick. So, downstroke, make that thicker, over here. And I'm doing this kind of fast just because I know which ones are the downstrokes, just so you could see it. We're gonna make it look like it's calligraphy. And honestly, this is how I got started with this. Picked up a pen and started writing, and then I just started messing with the different strokes. And then eventually I got into all the brushes, but it's a good starting point. If you don't know where to start, this is a good one. Okay, so there it is. It kind of looks like calligraphy, right? It's a little messy, I'm sorry. But no, you know what? I'm not sorry because this happens. It's not always gonna be perfect. You're gonna have some mistakes, but you learn from them. But yeah, so these are the two different types of calligraphy that we covered. Actually, let me write it here. So you have this one, which is your, sorry, this is a newer pen, so it's not working as well as I'd hope. So notice that I have a little bit of like, I'm gonna call them bounce on my letters, but it's just something I've learned as I, done this over the years. There are different styles, which we're obviously not gonna get into today, but different styles, different tricks that you could do with this. But you have your brush lettering up here. That's if you have your brush pens. And then you got your faux calligraphy right here is a good place to start. Honestly, what did I use for that? Sorry, I used this tip, but you could use a marker, you could use like a regular marker, you can use a pen. Just write out your cursive and go over the strokes. And that's all I have for you guys. Well guys, if you followed along, I hope that was helpful. If not, I'm sorry. But really, there's so many resources available to you if you want to learn about other stuff, like the different styles, different tricks that you could do. They're there. And just remember to keep practicing because that is such a big part of it. If I can show you all the notebooks that I have from when I first started, they are terrible. Your style and your writing changes the more you practice, so don't be discouraged and just keep at it. I love you guys and thanks for joining me.